So hello my dear students and learners. So today I am going to discuss a new topic which is called structure of a C program. Now before going to this topic, I want to mention that I have already discussed the basic things about the C programming, the basic features of C languages. I have also discussed about the compilers and translators, and also the high level and low level languages. Now today we are going to discuss the topic about the structure of a C program. That means whenever we are going to write a C program, how to write the program, what will be the structure of the program, how many sections will be there, and which sections are optionals and which sections are mandatory. So these things we are going to discuss, and after getting acquire the knowledge about the structure of the programs, at the end I am going to write a very simple C program, and that is going to be your first C program. Okay, so let's have a look on the board. So what is the first section? The first section is called documentation section. So what is this? The documentation section means whenever you are writing any kind of C programming, before writing, you just mention in simple English sentence that this program, what for you are writing this program. This program is doing what? Are you adding some numbers, or you are finding the factorial of a given number? So whatever you are doing, you just make a note of that. Suppose you are adding two numbers. So these programs will hardly have 4 to 5 lines. Now, whenever any programmer will access this program later on in future, so even after going through these 4 or 5 lines, they will have very clear-cut understanding, yes, this program is adding two numbers. But suppose you are writing a big program, 500 line programs or 1000 line programs, then if this programmer who is accessing this program later on in future, then it will be very difficult that after going through all these 500 to 1000 lines, then the programmer will have an understanding that what program this program is all about. Okay, so that's why it is a very good practice. Whenever you are writing any kind of C programming, you make a note of that in simple sentence. Now how can you do this? In C language, the documentation section actually takes place with the help of command line. So there are two types of command lines are there. One is one single line comment and another one is multiple line comment. Now suppose we want to write the program. So in the documentation section, suppose I am writing program 1.c. So suppose this is the name of the file with which I am saving the program. So this is the name of the program 1.c. Now here this double backslash is called single line comment. So whenever you are making a command line, that means this particular line here, this program 1.c will not be executed by the compiler. It will be skipped out. Okay, and you can write some in simple single English sentence. So here, this is what? This is the name of the program. Name of the program with which we are saving the program, that is program 1.c. Now, suppose in this program that we are going to do, we want to print some message on the output screen. So suppose I am writing printing some messages on the output screen. So here you can easily understand that I am writing these things in simple English sentence. Okay, so now you can comment this line using single line comment. That means you can use this. So this line will be commented. Now if you are using, you are making also the second line also making the comment line. Now if you want to use the multi-line comments, that means you have to use this symbol. That means slash asterisk. Then at the end of the last line, you have to also mention this asterisk slash symbol. So that means this entire thing that is inside this slash asterisk and asterisk slash will be skipped out by the compiler. And whenever a new programmer or any programmer will see the program later on in future, he or she will have a clear-cut understanding that this program is doing or printing some messages on the output screen, and that is all about the program. So that is called the documentation section, and this section is optional. Okay, but it is a very good practice whenever you are writing, so make a documentation of that. Okay, the next section is called link section. This is called link section. Link section means we have to link some header file in our program. For example, suppose I am writing, so this part we have discussed already. This is called documentation section. So this is number 1, point number 1. Now we are discussing the link section. Look at the board. I am writing has include stdio.h. Now what is this? This hash symbol actually represents the preprocessor directive. So hash include stdio.h. Here this stdio.h is the file name. This is an abbreviated form. The full form of stdio.h is standard input output header file. So this header file is already there in the C library. Now whenever this hash symbol we are mentioning, that means the compiler will instruct the preprocessor to include this header file, that is stdio.h, in our program. Now why this header file needs to be included in our program? Because in this header file some system defined functions has already been written. System defined functions. What kind of function? Which header file we are including? stdio.h, standard input output header file. So we are going to use some system defined input output functions. Since we are going to use the functions of the system, that is the property of the system, we need to take the permission of the system. That's why we are including this header file. We want to have this header file to be included in our program. That's why the compiler will instruct the preprocessor that this header file needs to be included, so that we can use these system defined functions. Which functions we are going to use? I am going to write very soon. The functions are printf, scanf. The scanf is a system defined functions. It helps us to take the inputs from the keyboard. Similarly, printf is another system defined functions which helps us to print any kind of output on the output screen. So these two functions, scanf, printf, we are going to use, and this function has already been defined in this header file stdio.h. Okay, we have to just call them so that this scanf function can take the input and printf function can print the output. So that's why we are taking the permission from the compiler by including this header file. Now another header file you can include, for example, hash include conio.h. Now conio stands for console input output header file. So there is a method available, getch. I will write in the program, you will see. So getch. So what is the job of this method? So whenever you are running the program, so sometimes what will happen, after showing the output, then immediately the editing screen will come up in front of you. That means output will not be in hold mode, so that sometimes what will happen, and it happens in so fast that our human beings cannot detect it properly. Okay, so that see the output properly, that's why output screen needs to be hold for some time. So that's why we will use the getch function. So getch function will help us to hold the output screen so that we can observe the output very correctly and properly. Okay, so that's why, since getch also another system defined function and which is also belongs to this header file, that's why we are also want to include this header file in our program, so that we can also use this, we can call this getch function. Okay, so these are called the link section. So this is the point number 2, link section. Now number 3 is definition section. Now definition section, what is definition section? For example, has define max 10. Okay, now look at this line. Now here hash symbol, that means it is also a preprocessor directive. Now we are defining a symbolic constant. So this hash define actually used whenever we are going to mention any symbolic constant in our program. So here the name of the symbolic constant is max, and whose value is 10. Okay, so here before compilation what will happen, this preprocessor directive, compiler will direct this preprocessor. So in your program, in whichever places this max, this symbolic constant will be found, it will be replaced by 10. Suppose in your program total there are 5 places where you have used this max symbolic constant. So this max will be replaced by 10 and it will happen before compilation at the time of pre-processing. Okay, before processing it will happen, that's why it is called pre-processing. So this is the definition section. Okay, so in this way you can suppose you have to use a variable whose value is 10, and so without writing this variable so many places you can use this max. That means you can define, it is also called as macro. You can define a macro, and whenever this macro will be found, it will just get replaced by the value 10. Okay, now so this is called the definition section. Okay, now fourth one is the global declaration section. Global declaration section. Global declaration means there are two kinds of declaration that can be implemented in a C programming. One is global and another one is local. Global means that is being declared outside the main function. Okay, so declaration means you can declare variable as well as a method function. So suppose you are declaring a variable like that, int a is equals to 5. Okay, or you are declaring a function like that, void so, like that. So here in this line what I am doing, I am declaring a variable. The name of the variable is a, what type of variable is this? This is integer variable. This is called a data type. We will discuss each and everything later on. Okay, but for the time being you please understand that here we are declaring a variable. So the name of the variable is a, its data type is integer. Integer means whole number. That means in the variable a we can store an whole number. So here I have initialized the variable by the value 5. That means if I print the value of a, the 5 value will be printed. Okay, so without initializing you can even only declare the variable. Okay, you can only declare it like that, int a. Okay, later on you can assign the value. So we have declared an integer variable. That means a is capable to store an integer value and whole number. Okay, now here in the second line what I have done, I have declared a function. Now what is the name of the function? Name of the function is so. Here this is the symbol of the function, opening and closing parenthesis. Okay, now here this is called the return type of the function. What is the return type? Return type is void. Void means nothing. That means when this function will gets called, this function will not return anything. Okay, we will have a detailed discussion about these things whenever we will discuss about the function chapter. So for the time being you just try to understand that this is the declaration of a variable and this is the declaration of a function. So I am declaring variable a, and in this line I am declaring function so. So this is the declaration of a variable and this is the declaration of a function. Now what is important is that here the declaration of variable and as well as the declaration of function has been done outside the main function. We have not yet started the main function. So it has been done outside the main function. That means it has been done, it has been declared in the global section. Now what is, if we are declaring something in the global section, how will make an impact in the program? If you are declaring the variables in the global section, that means in your program whichever functions you are going to define, all the functions can have access to this variable. Since you are making it global, that means it is the property of each and every one. It is not a private property, rather it is a public property. Each and every function can access it. Similarly, this is the so function. So in your program, whatever functions are there, each and every function can access this so function. They can call it whenever they will be required. So they have been declared in the global section. That means any functions in the program can access these two things, the variable a and the so function. So this is called global declaration, point number 4. Now point number 5 is main function. Here the M will be in small letter. Main function section. Main function section. Now suppose I am writing void main. Now here the main is the function. I have already told you like so. Here I have also mentioned the return type of the main is void. That means whenever this main will be executed, after doing its job, at the end this main method will not return anything. So this things is called return type of the function. Here the function name is main, so return type of main is void. That means it will not return anything. Okay, and inside the parenthesis we are not passing anything, so it does not accept any parameter also. So this is the header line of the main function. Now main is the function where from the program execution will start. So this is the entry point of the program. This is called entry point of the program. So how long your program is, how big program you have written, first it will find the main function. Where is your main function? And wherever it will find, therefrom the program execution will start. And one thing is most important, that in a C program you will have one and only one main program. You cannot have more than one program, because otherwise the compiler will get confused, because I have already told you that main is the entry point of the program. So if there are two main functions, then program will confuse that's from which main the program needs to start. So that's why in any C program, whatever big is the program, so it will always contain a single main function. Apart from main function, it can contain any number of other functions, but main function will be one and only one. That is very important. So this is the main function, main section, where from the program execution will start. Now suppose in the main function I am calling the printf function. Okay, now what is printf function? I will discuss in detail later on, but for the time being you try to understand that printf function is a function. It is a system defined function which will print whatever you want to print. Okay, so this printf is a system defined function. I am telling again and again. So this function definition has already been written. We are just calling it to print the whatever we will mention. And this printf function, it has been defined in the stdio.h header file, and we have already included this header file in our program. So already permission has been taken. Okay, so we have taken the permission in advance so that we can call this printf function. So what will happen? This printf function can print it. Now what do we want to print? Now look at the board. This is the new line character I am mentioning, /n. New line character means whenever this character will get executed, what will happen? The cursor will transfer to the next line. So whenever you will want to print something, before that, if you use this new line character, first this new line character will get executed, so that your cursor will be transferred to the next line, and from the new line, whatever you want to print, from the new line it will get printed. Okay, now you can use as many new line character as you want. Suppose I am using here, so it will take two new lines, and from there it will print. So what message I want to print? I want to print I am in main function. I am in main function. Okay, double quotation, semicolon. So you check that I have written within the double quotation. So whatever I have mentioned in the double quotation, everything will be printed except the new line character. So new line character is actually transfer the cursor to the next line, and after that whatever I have mentioned, that is I am in main function. So this statement will get printed on the output screen. Now after that, what I am doing, from the main function I am calling the show function. The show function I have already declared in the global section. So here the show is an user defined function that we are going to define. Okay, so before that, since the main can understand who is show, that's why we have declared it before calling the show function. We have already declared it in the main function. Okay, before the main function in the global section, so that we can call it from the show function. So here in this line, what I am doing, I am making a command line that calling the show function, calling the show function. Okay, so I am making a command line, so this line will not be executed by the compiler. Okay, now I am calling another function, getch. Okay, so getch is a system defined function, I have just told you, and getch function has been defined in the conio.h header file. So we have already taken the permission. What getch function will do? Getch function will just hold your output screen so that you can see, you can visualize the output properly. And how long the output screen will be in hold mode? Until and unless you are not pressing any key from your keyboard. The time you will press any key from your keyboard, it will again return back to your editing screen. Okay, so that is the job of the getStage, to hold your output screen. It belongs to the kunio.h header file. Okay, so that is the end of the main method. Now here you can check that we have called the show method from inside the main method. So here main method is calling show. So main is the calling method, and which method is being called? Show method is being called. So here show is the called method. So main is the calling method and show is the called method. So here we have defined the main function section. So it is point number 5. And the last point is subprogram, or you can say also subroutine section. Subprogram or subroutine section. Now subprogram or subroutine means if you are defining any other function apart from main function. So here we have already called a show function, and show function I have just told you that it is going to be an user defined function, so we have to define the function. So after the main function we will define the show function. Now check what is the declaration of show function. Its return type was void, so we have to mention exactly same thing I am writing here. So void show. Now inside show we will just print a line, printf new line, I am in show function, and that's all, and that is the end of the show function. So you check in the show function, again we are calling the printf function, because printf function will print the message. I have used a new line character, that means the message that I have mentioned inside the double quotation, what I have mentioned, new line, I am in show function. So whatever I have mentioned in double quotation, everything will get printed on the output screen apart from this new line character, because new line, whenever this new line character will be executed, it will just place the cursor on the next line. So in the next line what will be printed? I am in show function. Okay, so whenever the program will get started, it will start from the main function. In main function what will be printed? First this line will get printed, I am in main function. After printing it, it is calling show method. So control will transfer to the header line of the show method. So this is the header line of the show method where we are defining the show method. Now inside the show method, when this printf function will get executed, it will print this method that I am in show function. Then no more statement is there inside the show function, so again the control will return back to the same line where from it has been come to the function show, and after that it will execute the getCH. That means it will hold your output screen. That means in the output screen you will have two lines, I am in main function and then I am in show function. So these two lines will be in the output screen, and it will hold, getCH will hold your output screen until and unless you are not pressing any key from the keyboard. Okay, so once you will press the key, it will again return back to the editing screen. So this part is the subroutine section, and it is point number 6. So this is the basic structures of a C program. Okay, so documentation section. So this part is the documentation section written in English sentence. Link section means this inclusion part, precursor directive statements has defined, this is called macro. So these are the link section. Then definition section. Definition section is this, the macro definition. This is called has defined max. Or suppose you want to define another things, has defined pi 3.14159. So suppose you want to use this value of pi in your program in several number of places, in numeral number of places. So it is not required to mention all the times this value. You just use this numeric symbolic constant pi. So wherever this pi will get found, it will be replaced by this. Okay, so this is the definition section. Now global declaration section, whatever you are declaring outside the main function, you can declare variable and function. So this is the global declaration. This is the main function. Main is the boss of the program, where from the program will start. whatever program you are writing if there is only a single function, that is the main function. Without the main function, program will not start, and your program will contain only single main function. And another function that we have defined, it has been called from the so function. So main is calling, so main is the calling function, and so is the called function. And here we have defined the so function. So is the sub programs here. Okay, so here this documentation section, it is optional, it is not mandatory. This link section is mandatory. This definition section is not mandatory, it is optional. The global section, declaration, it is also optional, and this main function is mandatory. And the subprograms or subroutine section is also optional. So two mandatory things are there to write any C program. One is link section and another one is the main function section. So my dear students, I hope that you have understood it very clearly. So if you think that it helps you really, so you please like these videos, please share these videos in your friend circles, in your known circles, and please subscribe my channel, so that whenever I am going to upload a new video, okay, that I am going to do on a regular basis for various subjects, so you will have a notification. Okay, so thank you all for watching. Please take care. Thank you.